Welcome to The Body as an Altar, a 90-day visionary revamp process. So this is a process that I created uh, because I was personally wanting to understand how I could best utilize the energy around me and to understand as I was observing what was occurring. One thing that I noticed is that we have a hard time with integration. And this is one way to do that. If you give yourself 90 days to observe, not like this hard, like if I don't do these things, I'm not going to be able to move forward. It's just really observing and seeing what's going on, being intentional about how you utilize your energy and seeing how life interacts with you, basically. This is how to use the guide. The purpose of this guide and exercises are to help you expand your perspective and also allow you to narrow your focus. You are not defined by just one design type, what I mean by the design type is because this book really has to do with integrating your human design and astrology into your life. You're not defined by just being one of those types. For example, I'm a projector. So if you find out one day that you're a projector and you've been going forever, and you've finally learned that you're not supposed to work and that you're supposed to wait for the invitation, that can be a little disorienting because you're like, what does that even mean? How do I put that into practice in my life? Because once you're aware of these tools, you cannot be unaware of them. That's one of the things I live by. Once you're aware, you cannot become unaware. And so this guide is going to give you an area to focus on and to draw inspiration from. As you're experiencing the different, ebbs and flows of life, you can start to utilize your human design aura type or energy type and see how you can start to implement those strategies and learning about your authority to understand what might be a more efficient way to go about the things that I'm doing in my life. So these are the terms of use, pretty self-explanatory. And this is me. I'm Shayna Wilson, a holistic interior designer and owner of Shayna James Interiors, as well as the creator of Visionary Revamp, providing energetic coaching to mothers and women. So as a mother and wife and daughter and friend and creative and visionary and a deep thinker, I'm passionate about helping mothers and women build true sanctuary on a supportive and solid foundation in their lives. So by tending to our homes and our roots, we can leave a legacy for the next generation to build upon with confidence. Once we understand more about ourselves, we'll be able to teach our children and teach those around us just by being who we are authentically and full in our fullest expression, for them to also be able to be more of themselves. And the next generation will be a lot more prepared to deal with these ebbs and flows, trials and tribulations, because they'll have the tools that we've already acquired and they'll learn from our experiences on how to best understand their own energy and to step into their fullness. So this is a rundown, the table of contents of what's to be expected in the rest of this guide. So I'm big on having the new and full moons to look at, experience, and reflect on. So you're going to have the dates for the new and full moons. You're also going to have different important astro weather. So that has to do with the different transits going on in the atmosphere, such as when planets are changing sign, when they're changing direction, and also when there's different aspects that we might want to keep in mind and to observe. Then you'll have monthly calendars and gratitude pages. So at the beginning of each month, you'll be able to fill out the gratitude page with an intention as well as reflecting on how you would like to move forward for the next month. Then there is an activities to do page based off of the different centers of the human design body graph. This is really helpful because through each season, so during the 90 days, we go through 3 different seasons, you'll notice that we'll be focusing on different centers and you want to utilize those the energy of the center that we're currently in. You might want to do an activity to really embody that, the energy that's coming there, or maybe you want to kind of work with that energy a little bit more efficiently. But when we get there, I'll explain more about what I mean. And last but not least, we have the zodiac seasons and the gates that are in each of the zodiac signs. So here is a list of the new and full moon dates. And then you also have the stationing and ingressing. So the stationing of a planet that's going retrograde or is going direct, and then the ingressive of a planet going into a different sign. And here again, you'll see the same information plus the aspects you might want to keep in mind, like trines, squares, oppositions, and conjunctions. These are all important aspects that you want to keep in mind and see how that shows up in your chart. And here are the monthly pages. So again, we're starting with a gratitude page because we want to set the tone for the month ahead. This is an example, so you can have an idea of how to utilize it. So we're going to start with we're putting in the date that you're doing the monthly preview. You're going to set the intention for the month. You're going to also reflect on how you're currently feeling and then how you would like to feel. Look and see like what might be different about how you're currently feeling and how you want to feel, and come up with a way to focus on an energy for the month ahead. So where do you want to focus your energy? Take into account what you already filled at the top of the chart, top of the page, and then begin to just find a way that you can focus your energy to get to how you would like to feel. And then also in the notes, just make note of anything that you're expecting to do for the month ahead. This is just a really great tool to have an overview of what to expect going into the next month. And then here is an example of one of the months. You'll see the same information with the new and full moon, and also when a planet is making any changes in sign or in the movement in general. At the top of the chart, you can put your monthly intention just as a quick overview. At the bottom, you're going to find your cycle date, so your menstrual cycle. You can you can start tracking your menstrual cycle here on the bottom of the chart. If you do it elsewhere, that's great too. But I just thought that it would be a nice, cute activity to just color in at the bottom. So you can see, was there any changes around, a full moon? Are you ovulating with the full moon? Are you ovulating with a new moon? Just having that and observing, you can kind of see if there's any changes that might be occurring in your life around that time. Just tracking the pattern and observing what it means for you. And then there's a section called My Astral Transits. So if you are aware of how the planets move, you can put, like, for me, for example, my Mars is in Cancer, so I put I'm having my Mars return. So that's something to keep in mind, as well as, Mars is going to be opposing my natal moon. So if you are aware of how to utilize like that kind of observing, you can absolutely put that here. But let's say it's like your birthday, you could put that as well. A quick thing that you can look at is just see, is there any planet that's close to any of my natal planets? You can put that there. If not, that's perfectly fine. You can keep it blank. But that would be a great thing to kind of observe and see how the energy is interacting with you. And here, again, this is how you would start your months. You would begin with the gratitude page, and then you will look at the month ahead. So on this page, I provided the human design body graph, but instead of saying the gate numbers, I put the zodiac sign that we are dealing with. So right now we are in Scorpio season. You can see that you'll be able to see that there's a lot of focus of Scorpio energy in the spleen center, which is the brown triangle on your left side. So really looking at what that means. So if we're focusing on the spleen, what are the topics? So you can see that the spleen is associated with primal instincts, natural fears, intuition, immune system, and well-being. So that is a huge focus during this particular season. And you're going to be able to have this reminder going throughout the guide of what we're going to be focusing on, like what particular center. And you can come back to this and really and just keep in mind like what are some of the focuses energetic wise, and be able to see just observe and experiment with what that means and how you're feeling during that time and what you might want to focus on. This is key, but the same with the page that we were just on, because now I'm giving you activities that you can do based off of the centers. So the example I just gave you, we're focusing on the spleen. So one of the things you might want to be doing activity wise to work with the spleen center is self-preservation. What does that mean to you? Think about it. What can you do to really focus on that? Strengthening your connection with your intuition. There are ways that you can work with that. Tending to your immune system. So that looks like changing up your diet, being more mindful about what you're eating and how you're eating, how often you're eating, drinking more water. All those things will be key during this season. And then these are some more activities you can do. Later on, you'll be able to see during the zodiac season and gate pages, you'll be able to see that it's going to highlight what centers are going to be in focus during that particular season. And then you can come back here and do some activities to really embody or work with that particular center. So on the zodiac season page, you're going to see that it's going to ask you what house is that particular season. So these are really good keywords that you can use. So let's say, like for example, um, for Scorpio season's in my sixth house. So there's going to be a focus on my health, wellness, and my rituals. So maybe it looks like creating a new ritual. What does wellness look like for me? And how is my health? My health will be at the forefront, pretty much. And we are getting into the next zodiac season. So this particular guide is focusing on Scorpio to Capricorn season. Now here is Scorpio season where we currently are. You grab your birth chart, you're going to see where is Scorpio at this time. So like I said, for example, it is in the sixth house for me as a Gemini rising, but you might have it in your ninth house. You might have it in your first house. So you put that there, and then in the bottom part, you're going to put some of the keywords and maybe even reflect on what that looks like for you. On the bottom, you have reflection questions. So, what activities will I focus on that support who I innately am and support my mental wellness? So, that is something that you can focus on this month during this particular season, because that is including some of the energy of what we're going to be focusing on based off of the centers that Scorpio is going to be touching. And then also the bottom, it says what herbs can support me with self-love, wound care, mental wellness, my immune system, and overall vitality. That is incorporating each of the centers that are highlighted during this particular season. Now, you'll also be able to have access to an herb list based off of the zodiac signs and centers that's in the community page, in the community space. So you can look at that, and you can also buy herbs directly from our specialist, our herbal specialist, Tashi. And she can help you with creating a nice bundle of herbs to help you during this season or any of the seasons that you might want to focus on. If not, you can at least just make a list and you can acquire them separately on your own. Go to a health store, or maybe you might want to work with essential oils, whatever is going to help you in this time. And then this is an example of what is going to look like for the reflection questions for each of the gates. So let's say, for example, that you have gate 38 defined in your chart. What you're going to do is you can circle whichever planet is in that gate. So if your sun is there, you're going to circle the sun just to kind of put together, okay, so I know that the sun has to do with my personality. Okay, let's keep that in mind and look at the question. In what ways am I feeling I need to be vocal about the things I'm fighting for? How does that relate to the planet as well as the energy of this particular gate? And last but not least, I'm going to end the whole workbook again with a gratitude page. looking forward to the next season, you can still look ahead now that you have this tool and figure out how do I want to go into the next season, the next zodiac season. I'm doing it in chunks like this because I feel like 90 days is a great sweet spot for getting into the groove of the particular season that we're in, and then also helping us to transition into the new season ahead. So even when we're done with this at the end of Capricorn season, Aquarius season will be available to you if that is something that you wanted to continue to do, but it's absolutely not necessary. This is just to help you integrate something that you might be working through. So now you have the tools, you can utilize it going forward in a way that feels good to you. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, absolutely just put a comment in the community space or a message in the community space. You can email me or message me directly in the community space as well. Um, yeah, so that is the end of this walkthrough. I would love to hear your thoughts about it, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.